may not know it, and you may not have practiced it for a long time, but if you're so inclined, you can change your relationship to whatever happens. And for me, that feels like an incredible amount of power. So I'm no longer at the mercy of life. It doesn't just happen to me, I'm participating in my life. And I can choose how I'm going to show up. It takes an enormous amount of energy to pretend like things aren't happening. It takes an enormous amount of energy to not listen to the worrisome thoughts in your mind. We push them away. It's like we're holding pots on pressure cookers all the time. You know, I don't want to think that, I don't want to feel that, I don't want to go there. You don't understand the energetic toll it's taking on you. Your body is not wired to live in this 24/7 world that we are so proud of. It's not wired to do that. We can't do it. The whole nervous system is predicated on balancing effort with surrender. You do something and you lay down. Dr. Ross is going to show you pictures perhaps from his trip in Africa, and I bet you that after a gazelle or whatever animals are in Africa gets chased by a lion, if it gets away, it is not gonna do anything other than lay down and rest and recover. Of course, the other alternative is that it gets eaten and then it doesn't matter anyway. So we're trying to be really clear. You know, when do I have to use all of my energy and expend my energy to save my life? And when am I just making the whole thing up? When is it just I can't do anything about it? It's not going to help me to expend all my resources thinking that something else should be happening, because it's not. So it's really starting to get clear that what you think and how you relate to your life absolutely can translate into how well you do, either if you get a disease or sometimes in determining whether or not you will come down with the disease. Because it's my opinion that if you're continually stressed out and living in this fight or flight response all the time, ultimately you're going to break down. Something's going to break down. Maybe it's going to be your genetic weak link, but we can't do that. It's like putting gas in your car and saying, you know, the gas prices are so high, I'm not getting any more because it's too expensive. I'm just going to keep driving. You can't. And that's what can happen to us with our lives. The thing is that most of our life in this world is on complete automatic pilot. Everybody have a sense of that? I mean, you just like, it's like you get up in the morning and you just step on the treadmill, and then, you know, if you're lucky, you land home in the right place at night. But we don't participate, we don't make choices. But we do have the opportunity to choose how we're going to relate to absolutely everything. And as we minimize the amount of energy we're expending thinking about what could have been and what should have been and what was and why it's not and all of that, we can redirect all of that energy to use it in a more useful way. If we do have a disease, that energy is available for healing. We're not just wasting it. I heard somebody say the other day that if we could harness the amount of energy that we spend rehashing and rehearsing, there would be no energy crisis. You know, and do you know what I mean? How many, you know, you just go over and over it. I mean, it's already happened. It's not like it's going to change, but you just keep doing it, and you spin it, and you spin it, and you spin it. What you don't understand is that that's taking a physiologic toll on you too, because your brain, unfortunately, doesn't have the capacity to distinguish physiologically between a real and an imagined threat. So if something really bad did happen to you and you continually relive it, your body's going through the same trauma every time you think about it. And that counts for just having worrisome thoughts or difficult thoughts of any kind. You're just continually asking your body to respond to this threat, which is not currently happening. Somebody once told me that when you expect the worst and then the worst happens, you have to suffer twice. So for that, I say let's wait. You know, let's wait. Let's see what happens. This might be the worst day of my life, but I'm going to wait and see. I don't have to do it twice. So it's really about starting to pay attention and noticing how the way that you're interacting with your life has the potential to either increase your stress or to diminish your stress. Because again, stress is a response. It's up to you. You have it within your power to alter it. So that's a lot of words, and I'd really like for you to have a much more personal and visceral experience of what I'm talking about. So I'd like to do a little experiment, okay? So let's just take a moment, because The most powerful tool that you have to keep you present in this moment is right under your nose, and that's your breath. You know, we take breath so for granted, but boy, when you get out, if you've had allergies this year, don't you notice your breath? If you get a cold, it's a big deal. Other than that, who cares? I mean, you know, you just take for granted that you're breathing. If you're not breathing, you're dead. It's a big deal to pay attention to your breath. So let's just for a moment bring all of your fingertips together and just watch the breath. So you don't have to do anything, but if you feel comfortable, let your eyes close and just watch the breath come in and go out. Now notice how easy it is to leave the room with him as he goes to answer the phone. But remember that in each moment you get to choose what gets your attention. So you watch yourself start to get up and go, and you remember, and you choose to come back and feel your fingers touching again. So that's what you'll do for just a few moments. Every time your mind wanders, every time you think of something, or every time you notice an ache or a pain or a sound, just notice that that's what's happened. But remember that you get to choose. And what we're doing right now is training the brain, training the mind to stay right here using breath and the touch of the fingers. It doesn't really matter how many times your mind wanders. Every time you notice, gently and kindly call it back. Nothing matters but this breath. This breath has never happened before. This breath will never happen again. But the minute you give this breath your full attention, you are choosing to be present in this only moment of life. That you know for sure you get.